I've seen empires rise and fall, but honestly, few of them as tragically as the one we're unearthing in today's Explainer. I am your host, but today I'm speaking with the voice of the weary Red Spectre, dusting off the ashes of a completely forgotten, doomed history. We're looking back at a tragic civilization through a dark fable of control, illusion, and inevitable rebellion. This entire history is drawn directly from a profound text known as The Sovereign Fire and the Porcelain Mask, and let me tell you, it holds up a deeply unsettling mirror to the exact way a society can suffocate its own soul.
Okay, let's dive into this. Because to truly understand this mythological kingdom, you've got to look way past its beautiful architecture and its seemingly perfect, quiet streets. As the source text so vividly reveals, underneath all that meticulous polish, the Rome was actually a pressurized tomb of suppressed fear. It wasn't peaceful at all. It was a society just boiling right beneath the surface, trapping the darkest anxieties of an entire people. Let's look at exactly how that societal trap was structured.
Section 1. The Kingdom of Gilded Shadow, the Manicured Order.
So, the architect of this perfect, suffocating society was the high priest. He was totally obsessed with maintaining a rigid, flawless existence, a manicured order as it's called. He systematically suppressed the wild, tangled roots of the past, basically taking the chaotic force of human nature and crushing it entirely beneath the heavy, gray stone of reason. To the outside world, he projected this highly celebrated, holy dignity. But here's the dark truth the fable reveals. This dignity was merely a trap of vanity. It was an elaborate tale he spun specifically to mask his own unscripted animal force that he desperately wanted to deny.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it perfectly juxtaposes the rigid order of the priest against the sudden jarring arrival of the wandering spirit. On the left, we have the high priest's incredibly fragile domain, defined by porcelain masks and noble justifications meant to keep everything neatly categorized. And on the right, you have the wandering spirit, bringing an obsidian mirror and a raw, unscripted animal force. This collision wasn't just a simple disagreement, it was an existential threat to the kingdom's entire illusion.
You see, the wandering spirit didn't bring traditional weapons. They brought a mirror of polished obsidian. According to the source, this mirror acted as a surgical mechanism of intellectual honesty. Unlike regular glass, obsidian actually reflects the dark, unfiltered depths. And when the people looked into it, it surgically stripped away the high priest's porcelain mask and all those noble justifications. What it reflected back was absolutely terrifying. It exposed the intellectual poverty and the slavish obedience inherent in their collective, proving that their celebrated peace was really just a state of fatal stagnation.
Section 2. Sovereignty over utilitarian ledgers, the merchant city.
And this brilliantly illustrates the structural war between the counting houses of the merchant city and the boundless spirit of the individual seeker. Look at the utilitarian ledger on the left compared to the sovereign soul on the right. In the merchant city, the merchants of existence literally logged every single breath. If something didn't have a price tag or measurable utility, they deemed it a waste. But the sovereign soul? They operated in an entirely different reality. They found the highest dignity in profound purposelessness, possessing an atavistic resilience that those brittle uniform systems simply couldn't comprehend.
So how did the sovereign soul rebel against this ledger? By creating things the text beautifully calls shadow silk and moonlight tapestries. These are acts of art in existence that inherently could not be sold, could not be taxed, and could not be bottled by the merchants. By dedicating themselves to these acts, the seekers ensured their internal fire remained fundamentally, unshakably priceless. Let's move to and see how this builds the ultimate survival strategy, what the source actually deems an essential insurance policy. Step 1. Refuse the market's price tag entirely. Step 2. Build that atavistic resilience deep inside your spirit. Step 3. Survive. Because those brittle, uniform systems of the merchant city will inevitably collapse under the heavy, messy weight of reality.
Section 3. The Graveyard of the Marketplace. A Modern Herd. Now, this is where the dust of this doomed history settles directly onto us.
Take a hard look at the societal conformity we all participate in today. Are we really so different from the citizens of the Gilded Shadow? The tragedy of the kingdom is literally the tragedy of the modern herd. You cowering puppets of the herd, the text accuses. You take your vital, raw, messy truth, the very essence of what makes you human, and you willingly trade it away for a comfortable illusion.
And what do you actually get for giving up that raw truth? Predictable, hollow safety. This dark history condemns this trade in the harshest terms, viewing it as nothing more than a slow, suffocating death chosen by cowering puppets. You literally chose the graveyard of the marketplace, and you have the absolute audacity to call it civilization. You huddle together in this collective slumber, your faces permanently frozen in the static grins of porcelain masks. You're terrified, deep down, that even one honest expression of pain will bring your entire brittle sky crashing down around your ears. And so, when someone actually shows you that pain, you turn on them. You brand the Wanderer a monster.
But calling the Wanderer a monster? The source makes it crystal clear that this is just a gutless attempt to drown out the truth. It's a painful reminder of your own slavish obedience. What you hate isn't the Wanderer, it's the horrifying reflection of the intellectual poverty of your own stagnant lives.
Section 4. The inevitable consuming fire. An unavoidable reckoning.
This brings us to the final reckoning for you, merchants of existence, those who obsessively assess the utility of every blade of grass and every human smile. Look at this doomed trajectory. On the left, spirits literally withering into ice inside sterile counting houses. But on the right, the undeniable reality, a dark heat boiling in your veins. You spin these elaborate tales and noble justifications, but they're just cowardly attempts to hide the biological necessity of the fire that constantly threatens to consume you. And consequence is already at the gates. The source introduces this terrifying concept called the seventh solitude. It's the absolute abyss brought by the High Judge, an ultimate reckoning that violently strips away all your fake, holy dignity and leaves you completely naked before the truth. And be warned, the High Judge is already at your gates to deliver this verdict.
So the crucial point is this. The fire is coming regardless. Absolutely no hollow ledger, no counting house, and no manicured order will save anyone from this inevitable eruption. The pressurized tomb is going to burst, and those porcelain masks will crack.
Which leaves us with one final haunting ultimatum. As the utility of our ledgers inevitably fails against the unscripted heat of the human spirit, will you be the master of the forge, or will you just be a victim of the collapse? Take a long, hard look in that obsidian mirror and ask yourself what value your internal fire really has. Thanks for digging into this history with me. I'll catch you in the next explainer.